Hello everyone, we are live right now here in Saskatoon with JP Gladu, President and CEO of CCAB, the Canadian Council for Aboriginal Business, and he's here today to share his story of how he's come into this prominent role. And he's here right now. He's here for the World Indigenous Business Forum, and he's a panel speaker this happening, but he has a few minutes to chat with us. So JP, let's get into your story. Tell us your story.
Well, thanks, Kendall. Thank you for having me here. I've just, grown up in Thunder Bay, very large family, 60-something, first cousins, 18th, very, very, very cold winters. And I've grown up in the bush quite a bit, and whenever I was not at home, I was out in the bush with my dad and my family. And so it's always been really important to me to be on the land. Mm-hmm. That's how I tie myself to our culture, is understanding our natural environment and how important Mother Earth is to us. And so when I decided that in a career, my grandfather was a logger. My other grandfather worked for the Trans-Canada Pipeline and the gas pipeline up in Northern Ontario. Yeah. My dad was a logger. Mm-hmm. Then I thought, forestry school makes sense to me. I could be outside, and I wanted to be a conservation officer. Yeah. So I wanted just, what better life could I have than work in the bush all day, and then on my time off, be still in the bush. Right. And then I took my first job out of college. I went and studied forestry, and I worked for the First Nation Forestry Program with Natural Resources Canada. And my first job was working with about 40 First Nations across Ontario, community forestry work. And at that point, I realized community is really important too. And working with community, understanding the challenges and the opportunities around the forest sector, and how that how we can be more engaged, more meaningfully entrenched in our natural resources as this relationship in Canada has evolved, and to have a say and to help empower our communities. Mm-hmm. And so that was the start. I mean, I've lived in 7 different cities, Canada, the U.S. I've continued on forestry, worked for my own First Nation for a number of years, had a great time there. Yeah. And then, I did my MBA through Queen's, the Executive MBA program. That was a real challenge, balancing life, family, work, MBA, 130 flight segments that year. Wow. The camera's probably picking up the gray hair that I've grown. I've earned every single one of them. And then this job came up. It'll be 4 years for me, actually, in September. And it's been a great journey, and it's my dream job. I love what I do. So tell us some of the opportunities for Aboriginal people out there with CCAB. Well, actually, I'm looking at one of them right now. You see that award behind me there, Kendall, a very deserving recipient. So we have, and it's called the Aboriginal Entrepreneur of the Year Award. And you being one of our recipients, we want to be able to celebrate Indigenous success. We've been doing it. We've been around for almost 35 years. One of the ways in which we celebrate success is through 3 of our major galas. In Toronto in February, we celebrate our Aboriginal Hall of Fame Award, and those are people who've given their entire life to our communities and to our work. And that same night, we celebrate the Aboriginal Youth Entrepreneur of the Year Award, and it was last year you were the recipient. Yeah, 2015. Yeah. Great times. It was an amazing time. And we had Chief Darcy Bear, who was our Aboriginal Hall of Famer that day. Yeah. Saskatchewan sweeping the house that day. Run a roll here. And then in Calgary in May, we celebrate Aboriginal Economic Development Corporations and the role they have as important vehicles to drive economic success for their communities and to really transfer that aspirational goal of the community to the business community. Mm-hmm. And then in September, it's coming up actually next month, September 22nd, we have our gala where we celebrate our PAR companies. PAR stands, has nothing to do with golf, sorry, Progressive Aboriginal Relations. And those are companies that are really trying to do better when it comes to engaging, working with our communities, procuring our businesses. Mm-hmm. And as well, we celebrate the awards for excellence. Paul Martin was our first award winner. Very happy to say this year is our fifth award recipient. And as he warmly referred to himself the other day, I met him, the Justinator, Justice Nelson, Senator Sinclair. Yeah. And we've got a program called Tifa, Tools and Financing for Aboriginal Business. And this program's actually just started up. You can go to our website, ccab.com, and it's there to help entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. We have 9 different buckets, from operations, human capital, financing, computers technology, communications, mentorship, and all of the great stuff. And what's really great about this tool is that we're asking all of our business members, Indigenous and non, to put their services on the website, and it's open to any Indigenous entrepreneur. You don't have to be a CCAB member to access these tools. And what you can do is get these tools, and then we also connect you to the service provider and build those business connections and to drive more of our successful Indigenous entrepreneurs like yourself.
How important is it for the Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal business community to work together so all of Canada, not just single entrepreneurs, but the economy as a whole, to keep prospering?
Yeah, that's a great question. And one example I normally use is I like to remind all Canadians, and even ourselves, we need to remind ourselves of our entrepreneurial roots, of our work ethic, of our connection to the land, of our ability to empower a global economy. And that was the fur trade, right? When we had that first relationship with the newcomers, we knew this land, we knew business. It was just it's just in a different context. And unfortunately, that relationship is degraded over many of the colonialistic practices. But I think, especially with this new government, the Trudeau government, they understand that this relationship is the most important relationship, because in order for us to advance, and Canada is a natural resource-rich country, if we're going to advance these projects, companies have to be able to build that certainty with our communities and our people. They need our buy-in. They need our human capital as well. We're the fastest, youngest growing demographic in this country. So the ability to tap into that and build that certainty together is crucially important.
Yeah, absolutely. JP, let's go back to your journey up until your role so far. And has there been any personally from my own journey, mentorship has been vital to my success. Can you relate in some way?
Well, absolutely. I love the story, the sports story, right? And for me, I learned to succeed in life, you've got to work hard. Right? You've got to be dedicated, and it doesn't matter what you do. And as a young person, hockey, I was very dedicated to hockey and sports and running. And so my coaches were my mentors. They helped me build up my self-confidence. And that was, and understanding, my dad always says, son, whatever you put in the wash is what you're going to get out. There's no way around it. Right. So you put in the work, you put in the effort. And my dad is a strong mentor for me as well. And then, going into the college diploma, I was scared. I was 18 years old, leaving home, very first person to go beyond high school. In my family history at that point. And here I am getting dropped off, my mom and my sister dropping me off in Sault Ste. Marie, and good luck. And so, mentorship in your friends as well, and relying on each other, encouraging each other, I think is really important. I can totally relate to. And then professionally, having people along the way, like one of my earlier mentors, Peggy Smith, she's a PhD Métis woman, Lakehead University. In forestry. We were very few Indigenous foresters at the time when I graduated. So it was great to have somebody to reflect on, and I still have mentors.
Awesome. Wow.
It's important.
So JP, for any of our viewers who are watching you today, whether it's our YouTube channel, whether it's our Facebook channel, through our email list and so on, what kind of advice do you have for them to keep going after what makes them happy? Following their passion, what truly makes them happy? Because at the end of the day, if you're not following your passion, you can become unhappy, right?
Well, a little complacent, a little bit disengaged. Well, I think, again, it's life balance, and sometimes I kind of suck at it. But the thing is, I love what I do. And always finding whatever you're passionate about, always find time for it. And if that's your work and what you're doing, great. Keep going. It's easier to get out of bed when you're driven by your commitment to whatever your goal or your business. We're always gonna have some down days. You just need to understand that the challenges that you face actually are just as important as your successes. You've got to embrace those failures. We've all had them, and have that strong network, your family, your friends, to help pick you up when you're down. But you got that far, and you got there. So constantly push that boundary. Get out of your comfort zone. If you get to my point about being too complacent, if you feel like you're not being challenged, then step out and actually put yourself out there. And failure is a great teacher. But lead with your heart. Develop your brain, develop your network and your work ethic, and you'll go a long way.
Let's go back to your obstacles that you had to overcome, because people love to hear that. Everywhere I go to speak, they always ask, Kendall, tell me some of your obstacles that you had to overcome. JP, you want to share with us maybe one major obstacle maybe your life could have went a different way, maybe you wouldn't be where you are today, and how you had to overcome that?
That's a really good question. I've had, yeah, you know, I mean, just from the front, having what am I going to say, the ability, or at least the combating fear, to put myself out there to get through school.
Yes. Yeah.
But I think probably the challenging situation I've ever been was with my own First Nation. Working for my own community I was with them, I was consulting for a while, and then Chief and Council asked me to come and work more with them. And I dedicated all my time to my community up in Northern Ontario. And I think the biggest challenge was when you have community, and you know, you're always going to have your supporters. You're always going to have the ones in the middle that are on the fence and they want to understand.
Right.
And then you're always going to have the people that, no matter what you do, are going to come at you. And they'll be relentless. And just pushing through that, but not hiding from it.
Right.
Actually getting in front of those challenges. And I guess my advice is to many community members is just to be respectful of each other when we go through these challenges, because you know, we're all, our heart's in the right place, but let's get down and have a meaningful conversation. And you know, after that experience, I sometimes I was considered just having nothing to do with any of these issues anymore. You know, I've grown enough gray hair. I want to keep my hair. But I persevered through that, and actually because of that experience, my skin is really thick, and my capacity to lead this organization has improved because of that experience.
So I think that's, you know, we all go through negative circumstances. We all go through things that make us stronger. And I think that's one of the key messages that JP just touched on is he went through a lot of obstacles that have allowed him to get to where he is today. And now he's more stronger and he's more smarter, so to speak, with what he's doing and what he's trying to do with his goals as now the president and CEO of CCAB. So JP, let's just wrap this up very soon here. I know you're very busy. You have to go back to the forum. But what inspires you right now? What's your driving force that inspiring you with your role with CCAB?
There is this moment, like now is the time. Like we've got incredible Indigenous leaders. We've got a great federal government who, you know, they're putting themselves out there. They're holding the space for the conversation. There are not, you know, I'll say not all premiers, but a lot of premiers get it, and they're really working hard on that. There are municipal leaders, so everybody is coalescing around this idea that we're a stronger country when we help the lives, and they're not handouts, but they're hand ups to supporting our Indigenous community. And I just know in the next few years we're going to be growing in leaps and bounds as a community and as a country. It's not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen at the end of this government's term. This is going to continue, but the foundation, I think, is being reset. You know, the Truth and Reconciliation, an incredible man, Senator Sinclair. You know, we're awarding him. Well, we're grateful to have him to come and accept our award. Canada is now listening, and we all have a responsibility to do it. And the last thing I want to say is I can't wait to get in the bush next. I was mentioning I'm going up into Casca Dene territory to be in the mountains for 10 days. I'm going to be off grid.
Awesome.
It's going to be great.
No cell phone?
No. We have an emergency satellite phone if we get in any trouble, but looking forward to that too.
Awesome. Well, JP, thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate your time. Any last words for our viewers before we...
You know, stay strong, keep your head up high. You have lots to be proud of, and work hard, build your relations, maintain those relationships. They're the most important things that you have, I think, besides your heart and your work ethic.
Awesome. Thank you so much, JP.
Thank you.
You guys, thank you so much. You can share this with anyone that you may think that might need this video for inspiration and so on. You guys are amazing. We'll see you.